June is Pride Month, a celebration and awareness of LGBTQ people and their lives. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the first Pride March in LA. And while things may have changed over the past decades, how far have we really come in the fight for equality? This year, the All Black Lives Matter Solidarity March took place to protest racial injustice, systemic racism, and all forms of oppression. All Black Lives Matter's purpose was to amplify Black queer voices and support Black Lives Matter. I spoke to Gerald Garth, one of the founders of the march, along with Princess Murray, founder of Compton Pride, about the current struggles faced by Black LGBTQ individuals in America today. Today, in 2020, what does it mean to be Black and either gay, bi, or trans in America, and what struggles or challenges do you think are still faced by the community?
Black people who live at the intersection of sexual minority groups, that being gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and other groups, face unique challenges, being that there are elements of discrimination that happen both connected to race and sexuality. And so oftentimes those experiences are really exacerbated at the intersection. So a lot of what individuals see as it relates to violence and inequity and lack of resources really are heightened when an individual represents multiple disparate groups.
Black Lives Matter.
When you think about Black Lives Matter, we want to also be inclusive. And I think so often we get, put set aside and we're not recognized, but we go through the same obstacles that African Americans, me being African American, and the Black Lives Movement, we should be a part of that because, we're African American and we go through, abuse, police brutality as well. Tony McDade, he just lost his life, a transgender, and so many transgenders have lost their lives. And I think we need to put a lot of awareness to that. So we go through the same obstacles and we fight also with the Black Lives Movement. And we just ask that we are recognized that we go through the same type of treatment as everyone else does, that is African American or a minority of descent.
Princess Murray explained how the injustices have been carried through generations and somehow just become a part of the individual, where they hope and fight to see that change happen one day.
You talk to your grandparents and your mom and your dad, and they're like, they discuss what they went through. And then you come in the world and you're like, wow, I've got to go through this as well. And you get to an age where you're just like, you accept it. It's like, it's what it is. And you just have to keep fighting, but, in hope that the next generation can have something better.
And the message for creating better is being made loud and clear.
Even in Hollywood, it would appear that things were equal, and they're not. There's been years where Black people weren't allowed in West Hollywood, when they would turn the music off when the Black folks started to come to certain clubs on certain nights. One love.
So a lot of times when you are Black and you are queer or trans, it's almost like a picking battle because you have two identities that halfway support you and don't understand how they are not supporting you to the fullest of your ability. And so a lot of times we either get thrown into either we're queer or we're thrown into we're either Black, but we never get to be both.
I just want to be heard. I want us all to be heard, and I want us to be seen, and I want us to be seen that we're good people and we're just out here just trying to survive as well just as everyone else. And we're all equal. We all bleed red.
And while it's not as openly discussed, for African American LGBTQ individuals, discrimination is a constant uphill battle, twofold.
Going to West Hollywood as a young person, you feel a lot of freeness. The streets are painted rainbow and everybody's happy and everybody seems welcoming and it's a very nice experience. And you can sit down and have a cup of coffee and you can just be gay if you want to, and nobody's watching you, nobody cares. And the whole community is just LGBT, but there's another component to it, and that's within the LGBT community. And that's where Blacks and Latinos and other minority groups are not welcome. So there's a lot of racism, a lot of, we're not employed in West Hollywood. just different types of discrimination within that subgroup of the LGBT community. And a lot of people don't know about it.
Healthcare and access to healthcare has been a major concern and barrier to LGBTQ plus people, and more so to Black people in those groups. And so we see, and data shows, as it relates to access to care and treatment, access to insurance, primary health, even sort of addressing and dealing with implicit bias and medical mistrust among providers.
So now the question is, how will those in power make the changes? These are obviously conversations that need to be had, and they won't happen overnight, but I asked about suggestions on how to start the process.
A great place to start those reform is through entities such as community review boards and community advisory boards, and which are basically entities that are comprised of community voices that make up these underrepresented groups, and really use those opportunities to listen and to be informed about these unique needs of these groups. I think what happens often is that there are well-intended individuals who, while well-intended, are misinformed, or well-intended but still not capturing the specific needs of these groups. So quite often it's necessary to step back and create spaces for these voices to really begin to unpack those needs, but also to begin to shift policy, the law, and other narratives that have been sort of prescribed for, or quite generally have erased Black LGBT people.
We're going to have to change laws, which requires voting. So we're going to have to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to vote. And like, for example, like for Compton Pride, I always, I promote voting, and I send articles out to people how to vote. And these are the type of resources that are needed within the community. If we can get those resources there, we can get more people to vote and understand that voting changes laws, because we're changing policy by changing the people that make the laws.
As we experience unprecedented times during a nationwide movement, we are being asked to not only look deeper at our governing system, but also within ourselves individually. How aware are we? Understanding the power of listening could be the start for a needed change. I'm Rasha Goel for LA City View.